You know, you never realize how much these class reunions take out of you. You've been through one. Or I'm getting older. Or maybe the sidewalks are getting harder. Oh, this is the Omega Delta Rho Fraternity House, Westbury College. Doesn't look much different after 10 years. You never realized to look at the place that history was made here, but it was. Important history, too. Oh, my name is Everett Erskine. I got myself involved in it. Not that I didn't try to keep out. I did. I was what you might call a real reluctant dragon. I tried to tell myself that what happened was a college boy hassle. I refused to see that it was just part of a pattern that stretches way beyond campus life. As a matter of fact, it reaches into every walk of life. Years ago, exactly. There were a handful of us all just back from the war. We had reactivated the Westbury chapter of Omega Delta Rho, which is a national fraternity. The last thing we were looking for was trouble, but as the man says, trouble is a gate crasher. How do you keep it out?
Hey, come on, will you wake up? We're not finished yet. Next name is Kingsley, Ted Kingsley.
Seems like a nice kid.
The nicest thing about him is his sister.
Well, let's just take in his sister, then.
Will you stop the clowning? Well, how about it? Smoker bed?
Yeah.
Marshall. Daniel Lovejoy Marshall.
Who he? Crew cut, fancy vest, nothing. Besides, I hear he wants Kappa. So let him have Kappa.
Blackball.
Strike him. William Stanley.
Football player. His muscles have muscles, like mine.
Big deal. Any washout votes?
I'll work the smoker bid.
Agree?
Yeah.
Dave Joseph.
Nice kid, real nice.
Well, strike him. Let's get on, man. I'm tired.
Well, everyone agree?
Yeah.
Stan Morgan.
Wait a minute. I don't know if I ought to even bring it up, but getting back to the Joseph kid, I was talking to him this morning. He'd like a bid, says he'd take it. But there's one thing. He mentioned it himself. He said he didn't want to embarrass anyone. He's Jewish.
Well, so what?
That's what I told him. So what? But he said he remembered his father telling him how when he went to college, a fraternity reneged on a bid after the boys realized he was Jewish.
I don't think this fraternity's ever pledged a Jewish boy before. How about it, Cap? You've got the bylaws. Is it legal?
Well, wait a minute. Let me see. Let me have that thing, will you? I haven't looked at this in years.
I'm sure you won't find anything, Cap. We'd have run across it by now.
No, you're right. There's nothing in here.
Yes, but suppose there were.
Huh?
Just supposing there were some nice little bylaws telling us we couldn't initiate this Joseph's kid.
But there isn't, so why the discussion? Look, when we send his name to the National Committee, we don't mention it, and they'll never know the difference.
Well, maybe so, but I don't think that's the way to handle it.
Well, what is?
Well, I think it's our duty to get a ruling from the National Board.
Oh, there's nothing in the Constitution against it. How will there be trouble?
All right, look, I tell you what we do. We'll go ahead and pledge him, and then I'll drop an off-record note to National in the meantime. We'll get their opinion.
That seems to make good sense to me.
I think it stinks. Look, our membership is our business. Well, isn't it?
Well, that's not exactly right, Ev. You see, we're just one chapter in a national organization. We've got to stick to the rules.
Oh, rules, my eye. Our membership is our business, no one else's. No one has a right to tell us who we take in, who we turn down. Well, what are we, slaves to the great national
Ed,
office?
Look, don't blow. I just said we hold the charter, and we do, but we got to stick by it.
Look, you all seem to think this Joseph's kid's pretty nice. Well, all right, that's all that's important. You go ahead, you write your letter. But if National turns him down because he's Jewish, I'm walking out. I'm sorry, I've got my own self-respect. I've got to shave in the morning without spitting in my eye. Cap Walker followed through just as he said he would. The next night, Dave Josephs was formally pledged to our fraternity. Cap sent off his letter questioning our position to the national office. He kept an anxious eye on the incoming mail, and we had our answer in a week.
Hey, Ed.
Yeah.
Listen, Ed. I just got the letter from National.
Huh? Well, open it.
What?
Open it up.
Dear here, Cap, so on. Answering your query about the national constitution. There is no constitutional provision excluding members of the Jewish religion from membership in our fraternity. We leave this to the discretion of the local chapter.
Wait a minute. Oh, sure.
Well, what's wrong?
You like this, huh?
Well, what's wrong with it?
Well, what do you think they mean by discretion?
Well, that's what it says. It's like taking out blinds. Things that wants to do.
And them that don't want to don't.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I don't read it that way.
Well, that's what it says.
No, that's what you want it to say. What it really says is this. We can't come right out in the open and say we don't want Jews. That wouldn't look pretty. So we leave it to the local chapters to cover up. Use discretion. In other words, keep them out.
No,
well, that's what it says,
no,
discretion.
Look, Ev, what it says is that it's up to us. Well, we want him in, so he's coming.
Are you willing to stick to that?
Well, I'll make it stick.
Well, you make it stick. I've got no argument.
All right. Ev.
Yeah.
Listen, I know you're going to laugh at this, but I need your help on something else.
What?
Well, this is the first class in new pledges since before the war, see, and the boys want to do it up in style. You know, the initiation ritual.
Go away, boy. You annoy me.
Oh, Ev, will you act human for a change?
Act human? You mean put on a bed sheet and parade around with flares? That's acting human? Come on.
The new guys expect that kind of thing. Listen, you had it when you went to college. You remember what it meant to you?
Look, I didn't come back to school for the rah-rah stuff. I came back to get my degree. Now, the quicker I get it, the quicker I can go on and support my family. My wife is still living with the in-laws.
I know that.
Well?
Well, you got to come in with us on
Why?
that. You know why. Oh, because you're a big man on the campus. Your war record. The fact that you're so much older and more mature, the other guys look up to you. Now you know they do. Come on, how about it? I got a pretty snazzy bed sheet with your name
Oh,
on it.
big deal.
Or will you do it as a favor to me?
All right, now, will you go on and get out of here?
Okay, you guys, let's go. Great play of the century coming up now. Remember, break wide to the right. Rest you guys close up the line, okay? Let's go. Ready, set, hut, Hartford! Run with it, man. Go, go, go,
Come on, lay off, will you? We'll never get this rehearsal over with.
Come on, that's right, fellas. No kidding. We got to get this thing right.
Yes, Mother. Now, we're up to the place where the pledgees are in the room and they form the fraternal circle. Come on, get your candles. Now the lights are out, and you, Cap,
Yeah.
you take your place in the center spotlight. Now here's where you administer the fraternal oath.
Okay. Where is it?
Oh, it's in the new ritual National just sent us. Here. Okay. Light.
Pledgees, I will now require you to swear to the solemn fraternal oaths of Omega Delta Rho. 1. This fraternity will accept only those who will safeguard its ideals and its honor. In this do you qualify. 2nd, this fraternity will accept only those who swear they will stand by their brothers in time of trial. In this do you qualify. 3, this fraternity will accept only male white persons of full Christian blood. In this do you qualify. Might have changed the ritual.
Well, don't you all look pretty? Aren't you just busting with pride that you're great amigas now? So the great national finally has its say. Keep it nice and private for the inner circle. Don't put it in the Constitution, put it in the ritual. Yeah, blindfold the sheep, close the doors, douse the lights so we don't have to look each other in the face, get it out in a nice, cozy whisper.
But what can we do?
Well, what you do, I don't know, but I know what I do. Room and board isn't that hard to find. Now there's a breath of fresh air. This is not my kind of deal. I'm through.
So you think it's my kind of deal? You see me jumping for joy? It stinks, I know it.
Well, I'm glad you know it.
Look, Eb, we got to be practical. Suppose we all turn in our pins, then what? No fraternity.
This is not a fraternity.
Ah. Well, he's wrong.
Is he?
Yeah, I say
Why?
Because I don't think our fraternity is bylaws or rituals or secret signs or mumbo-jumbo. I think it's us.
Yeah, but we're stuck with
Yeah, well, not if we don't stay stuck.
What do you mean, Cap?
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute, let's just sit down for a minute. I think we need an emergency meeting here. Now, look. Is there anybody here who doesn't feel just sick to his stomach over this mess? All right. Then there must be a lot of other chapters of our fraternity that feel just the same way we do. Just waiting for somebody to start the ball rolling. Well, why don't we call him in on the fight?
Wow, that'd cause a mess.
Yeah, it sure will. Hey, look, let's have a vote on it. Now, all those in favor of putting our chapter on record as being opposed to any discriminatory clauses in our Constitution or our rituals signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, that's good. All right, now. All those who favor the Westbury chapter of Omega Delta Rho, calling on all the other chapters of our fraternity to work with us in eliminating all existing discriminatory clauses in the Constitution and rituals, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, it's unanimous. All right, now this is going to mean a lot of hard work, but at least we got to start.
Yeah? And National will give us a finish. Right on the button. Wait and see.
Hi, Professor Jones.
I hear you're moving out.
That's right.
Look, Ed, the boys have decided to fight this thing. They've asked me to help. They want you, too.
I just came home from a fight.
It's the same fight, Ed. If you walk out now, you'll never forgive yourself. I know you.
I know me better. I just don't have time for this kind of trouble.
It's pretty grim trouble when you start to figure it out. Little groups, little cliques deciding they're a little different, a little better.
Look, I know it's wrong, but I just don't have time to try to change it. I've got a wife and a hard life ahead of me. I'm busy.
Everett, there are some things we can't ignore. Sometimes we can't be too busy. I'm an Omega Rho, too, but I can't fight this the way you can. You're an active member.
Well, how did all this get started, anyway?
Well, actually, it started about 50 years ago when a lot of first-generation Americans started to go to college. They were different because they were first generation. So the old-line fraternities, the so-called elite, shut them out, insulated themselves against the curse of difference by writing restrictive clauses into their constitutions. Now, these same fraternities are run today by many of the men who were responsible for those restrictive clauses in the first place. The alumni. And don't kid yourself, it's the alumni who run the national fraternities by subsidies and endowments, influence. They hang on tight.
Look, I know it's wrong, but the important thing to me right now is getting my degree.
Well, that's up to you, Ed. Maybe this isn't your battle after all.
What is so important about me anyway?
Because you're a leader, Ed. Since the war, there's a new feeling. Call it fair play. Call it human rights. There's something stirring, a pulse beat. But it's got to be, it needs leadership. And it's got to be led. Now, you're one of those who can do that. Right here, right now. Everett, if you walk out now, half the house will walk out with you. That way we lose by default.
All right, I'll make a deal with you. I won't walk out, but I won't walk in. I'm strictly on the sidelines.
I envy you. Few of us are that lucky.
Look, I'll take my room and board here, but I don't want to get involved in this. Now, won't you please try to explain that to the fellas?
All right, Ed.
What followed fast. Letters went out contacting other chapters, telling them of our position and asking for their support. The response was good, better than was first expected. The strategy was to go to the upcoming national convention with an amendment against bias that would have the support of a majority of chapters from coast to coast.
Well, hey, Ed, listen, you got a minute? Sure. The boys and I here were just discussing the amendment. Now, look, I've drawn it up as we're going to offer it, but I thought maybe you'd like to tell me what you think. Each chapter will be given the right to prescribe the qualification for membership, and nothing in the Constitution, bylaws, or rituals would prevent the initiation of any man on the grounds of his race or religion.
In other words, you're leaving this to the local chapters. Is that
That's right, yeah.
You get rid of every part of the skunk but the smell.
Well, Eb, sure, it's a compromise, but that's the only way we're going to meet the objections of some of the chapters. If we can get it passed, it'll be a big first
Look,
step.
you don't clean up a stable by whitewashing one wall.
Boy, he's a great help.
Yeah, like square wheels. What's with him, Cap? He used to be such a friendly guy. All of a sudden, when we need him the most, all he can do is complain.
Oh, he'll come around.
Yeah, like a mortician. Too late.
Hi, Eb.
Hi, Funny.
Aren't you going in? Cat's supposed to call from the convention any minute now.
Sorry, I just can't.
I'm sorry, too. The boys have worked pretty hard on that amendment. It hasn't been a great deal of fun for any of them. I don't know whether you've heard about it, but Vince's girl gave back his pin because she heard we were going to initiate a Jewish boy, and Crowley's father's threatening to cut off his allowance. It's awful the way people act sometimes, isn't it? I don't have any girl or family, Eb, and I, for one, would like to see you go along with us. All the boys would. They really can't understand how you can be so strongly against it and still not do anything about it. All you got to do is just walk through that door. Will you? I don't want to hurt your feelings, Eb, but doesn't your conscience bother you just a little?
Well, Everett,
Hello, Doc.
any news from Cap yet?
No.
Not interested?
I've told you I'm a grown-up man with obligations.
Yeah, sure. I never can keep this darn thing going. You got a match? You know, Ev, those boys in there are learning something they'll carry with them all the rest of their lives. They might become the men who lay down the laws that say that you can't hold this job or that because of your color. You can't live in this neighborhood because of your religion. Somehow I don't think they will. Thanks. You know, I know of a Greek letter fraternity that won't take Greeks. Funny, huh?
Hey, fellas, it's Cap. Take it slow, Cap. I want to repeat it to the gang just as you say it. The vote on our amendment has just been taken, yes? When the chapter votes were counted, it was close, but the majority favored our amendment.
Hey, how about that, huh?
Yes, Wax, go ahead. When the votes of the Grand Council were added in, the amendment was killed. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. The Grand Council is sending us a representative to explain their position.
Well, I don't get it if the chapters voted in favor of it.
You get it all right, Pete. The Grand Council, alumni members who are national officers, have equal votes with the chapters. Oh, it's all nice and legal.
Oh, now isn't that just great?
Who's this guy from the Grand Council? What does he want to tell us?
Be good boys, mind your manners, speak only when spoken to, or else get your heads kicked in.
What gets me is now that we've pledged Dave Joseph, what do we tell him?
It's open. Erskine? Yes?
I am Webster. Jim Webster.
Yes, I know.
I'm from the Grand Council.
I know that, too.
Walker tells me he set up an emergency chapter meeting for 8. Well, that gives us a little time.
Time for what?
I've heard a great deal about you, Bev. We're all proud to have you in the frat.
Well, I'm honored. My fraternity brothers don't seem to be so proud of me. Why are you?
Well, Ev, your war record shows the kind of a guy you are. Solid, clear. Among these kids, you're a good stabilizing force. Now, what we have to do is to calm them down, ease them off. You know college boys. Everything's a football game. Great hoopla and all that stuff.
Hoopla?
You know what I mean, crazy sense of values. But that's no worry. I've got a little surprise that'll take care of everything. Actually, that's not why I dropped in on you.
Yes, I'm sure of that.
I understand you're getting your degree in business administration this spring.
I expect to.
Got a job offer yet, Ed?
No, not yet.
Well, one of the alumni. Maybe you know him. Jackson Wheeler, Wheeler Associates. Big builders. There's a special spot waiting for you, Ed. So, as soon as you're ready, you just let us know. Okay? Real nice meeting you, Ed. Real nice. See you later. At the meeting.
The meeting will come to order. The Grand Council in New York has sent somebody down here to speak to us. His name is Mr. Webster.
Now, I believe in setting a table before you sit down to eat. So let me start by trotting out the silverware and good dishes. You fellows here at Westbury have done a whale of a job in reactivating this chapter. And we feel that you deserve something better than this kind of crummy diggings. So we're prepared to help you underwrite the cost of a new frat house. Well, now that's what I call setting a pretty fair table.
Well, that's all fine, Mr. Webster.
But, Jim.
Jim. But it's got nothing to do with what you came down for.
Of course it does. It shows how much we think of you fellows. Now, just because we disagree on a few minor policies, that doesn't mean we're not behind you 100%. Anything in our power to give you, you're going to get.
That's right, 100%.
Yes. You tell them, Ed.
Well, all right, Jim, but I don't know exactly what you want me to tell them.
Tell them the smart thing to do.
Oh, the smart thing to do. Sure. Well, the smart thing to do is just forget all this bias and bigotry and stick to the good old way. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
Only sometimes the smart thing isn't always the right thing. I mean, that can happen, don't you think?
Well,
I want to show you something. You know what that is hanging on the wall, don't you?
Well, sure, that's the Decalogue.
Decalogue. It hangs in every fraternity house in the country.
Sure.
Sort of a statement of aims joined in by every fraternity in the country. It speaks of things like, the basic values of life, better civilization, peace and understanding among all people. Now, let me ask you a question. If I say to a pledgee that this fraternity will accept only male white persons of full Christian blood, am I living up to that?
Now, I won't discuss
Yes,
that,
but
Ed.
maybe we will. Maybe we'd like to talk about bias and bigotry and how it helps achieve peace and understanding among all people.
You can't change the world overnight.
You can change it in a second. We all did during the war. Every time a Zero went down or a Nazi tank was blasted, we changed the world a little bit, made it easier to breathe in.
Well, we're getting pretty far away from the subject.
Couldn't get closer. It's the same fight. It's the same enemy. Bigotry, fascistic ideas, Aryanism, communism. You call it by any name, it's no rose. Is this an official meeting, Cap?
I'll make it.
Well, I want to make a motion.
All right, I'll entertain it.
Now, wait a minute.
Yes, please. I move that we disassociate ourselves from the national organization of this fraternity. That we organize ourselves into a local, non-secret fraternity with no membership requirements except that you be a man. No race, color, or creed.
And this side second.
And this side third.
Discussion?
Now, I want to
I
tell
put
you...
the question. All right, the question is put. All in favor?
Aye!
So ordered. It's done.
Done, is it? Well, now, let me tell you something. You may think what you've just done is smart, but I'll tell you how smart it is. You've just cut yourselves off, and you're in limbo, isolated, and broke. You'll wither on the vine 2 years from now. And remember, I told you this. 2 years from now, this chapter will be dead and buried and forgotten. That's what I give you. 2 years. 2 years and you're dead.
2 years, he said. Well, he was a lousy prophet. It's 10 years now. 10 years since we changed our rules, changed our name, and we became something new and different in Greek letter fraternities. We're non-secret and non-discriminatory. We own our own house, too. And this year, we pledged the largest group on the campus. And among those people were Christians, Protestants, Catholics, Jews. I might add that we've won our share of trophies. As a matter of fact, that one right there is our favorite. It was presented last year by Dave Josephs. He said it belongs in the trophy case. As Dave tells it, the menorah is lit during the Jewish Hanukkah festival as a symbol of the age-old fight against tyranny. In this fight, he says, there are no small battles. Boy, he's so right.
On campuses around the country, the battle of Fraternity Row is far from over, but all signs are in the good direction. Over 50 colleges have adopted policies designed to remove compulsory discrimination in fraternities and sororities. Chapters are continuing to declare their independence of restrictive national organizations. College communities are moving side by side with the general community in the fight against bias. And in this fight, there are no small battles. Public Affairs presentation in honor of Bill of Rights Day, presented by the ABC Television Network in cooperation with the American Jewish Committee.